Hello there. Welcome to my show, COVID-19 Update by Heerak. It's November 17, 2020. Yeah. Today is International Students Day. One of the executive board members at Georgetown University Graduate Student Government, GradGov, when I was serving as vice president. That was May 2019 to May 2020. She was from Poland. Um, yeah. So, so she went to Emory University for bachelor's and came to Georgetown for master's. And as you know, I've been sharing with you some photos from bachelor in Poland yesterday, and I'm going to share some more today. I went to Poland in 2019, August, to deliver my academic research, latest breakthrough research in Jewish studies. As you know, I'm a world-renowned expert of Jewish studies. So I go to conferences around the world to present my latest research, groundbreaking research on Jewish studies. So everybody's just eager to hear what I have to say about Jews and Jewish history. And yeah, I'm an expert. So, I got invited to come to Poland um, at the annual conference of European Association for Biblical Studies. So that has a membership of all the top-notch experts of Jewish studies in Europe: France, Germany, Italy, England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, you know, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Switzerland. So yeah, I'm respected around the world as an expert of Jews, Jewish history, Jewish studies, call it what you want. Um, yeah, and these are the people, who teach in universities like Cambridge, Oxford, Heidelberg, Berlin, Geneva, Paris, Rome, Florence, Milan, uh, Prague, Stockholm, Amsterdam, Oslo, So, yeah, I call them my colleagues, my peeps. No, they're my fellow academics. Um, I'm sure they get an amusement out of my wacky side. But yeah, anyway, so I did an academic conference to present my paper in Jewish studies, and there were several professors from Duke University. Duke University in Northern Carolina, North Carolina. So some of the top-notch experts on Jews who teach at Duke University were there. So I hobnob with them a little bit, but it's a little bit boring because I'm in Europe. I want to hobnob with European experts, right? you know, I go to too many things that are like American stuff. I'm like, I don't need to go to Poland to meet experts from Duke. You know what I mean? No, nothing against Duke, but I mean, when I go to Europe, I'd rather spend time with my European peeps in Jewish studies. You know what I'm saying? But anyhow, yeah. So I had fun time. At the academic conference. Meeting up with ones I know, making new friends. Um, it's like a big family reunion of all the experts of Jewish studies around Europe. So I go to European Association for Biblical Studies conference, whenever I can. So I went in 2019 to University of Warsaw. They rotate countries. So it was Poland in 2019. 2020 was Germany. It was supposed to be at University of Wuppertal in Germany, and the conference got canceled because of COVID. I was like a little bummed, because I love Germany. Ich liebe Deutschland. But anyway, what can you say? What can you do? It's COVID. COVID is like controlling everything in the world now. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, yeah. But you listen to some music from Poland. Polish Slavic music. Good stuff, ain't it? Um, yeah, I miss Poland, you know. Um, yeah, I wanted to go back to Poland, you know. I had my bachelor in Poland thing going. Started in August. I had like what over 15 women that I dated, and I was, zeroing in on, the which woman to give the final rose to, and I was, seriously considering marrying that woman, So I was kind of vested in this bachelor in Poland, reality show. A reality. I mean, it wasn't a show. It was a reality. But it's a show kind of because I'm sharing with you. But yeah, I mean, it's I can't believe COVID hit in 2019 November. It just stinks, I mean, but anyway, but we still have memories, memories. 2019 was like a year ago. You know what I mean? I can't believe like so much has changed in a year. It's kind of shocking. Um, so I like women in uniform. The four women there are with the Belgian military. They're officers in the Belgian military. They're officers in Belgian Navy, Belgian Air Force, Belgian Army, and four of them, they're celebrating their graduation from their military academy. So they hopped over to Poland for like a weekend. So yeah, I met them and it was fun, it's vacation. But I mean, I was there for work. I was presenting my paper to like distinguished experts in Jewish studies, but I did manage to slip out and play hooky and have fun. I mean, geez, as you know, I was in a 2-year intensive full-time nursing studies at Georgetown University. So they had 1 or 2 weeks off during each semester. And it was 365 days a year program. So, thankfully I had this University of Poland conference to go to in the 2-week break. I wasn't going to just go to the conference like the whole time. I was going to have some fun. So yeah, I did play hooky, Some of my colleagues are probably upset at me for that, but what can you do? Life is what you make it, so make the best of it. That's what I say. It was actually a quote from Simon, my roommate at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. Um, like my not roommate, flatmate, because there are four guys in the flat. But he was in the other room with uh, it's like two-floor room. It's like a Hebrew University, dormitory. Um, Dormitory by like an apartment complex, Um, and so Simon, was one of our flatmates. Simon Yule was one of our flatmates. He's from Scotland. Charles Gorman from France. Me from the United States. Um, Simon is a Druzi, but he served in the U.S. Israeli Defense Forces (IDF). And after he served his 3 years, 18 to 21, um, so he's Arabic speaking. He's not Jewish. He's Druzi. They're loyal to Israel, the Druze who live in Israel. So they serve in the Israeli Defense Forces. But after serving for 3 years, he became secret police, Israeli secret police. This Jerusalem, has like terrorist activity. So he, 100% Arabic speaker. He was like a secret police. So, so he lived in our flat and like protected us. Hey, after all, I'm like a living legend, an expert of Jewish studies. So I mean, it makes total sense that the state of Israel would try to defend or protect their investment. You know what I'm saying? They need my knowledge to survive as a nation. So, I mean, so they're obviously going to station a secret police officer with highest rating, highest possible clearance, security clearance for an Arab in Israel to protect me. What can I say? What can I say? I'm important to the Jews, yeah. I mean, when you're one of the leading experts of Jewish studies, you're important by definition. So anyway, so I'm sure you know I have like a couple Mossad agents guarding me even now, trying to protect my life. Anyway, I mean, I mean, sometimes other people think you're more important than the way you think you're important. Like I'm an expert of Jewish studies. I do it because it's fun. I like it. But my brain, my knowledge of Jewish studies is a commodity for like Israeli Defense Forces or Israeli Mossad, Israeli Sabah. Survival of Israel can hinge on it. So for them, they have a vested interest to protect my life and my, my survival. Their survival depends on it. It's like, I mean, I just do Jewish studies because I like it. I'm an intellectual and I find it fun. I find Israeli women amazing and beautiful. Dated quite a number of them. Maybe I'll share that sometime. But anyway, yeah, when I was in Israel, so some of them were like secret agent ladies, intelligence officers. I mean, maybe they were assigned to guard me. I don't know. I you know, who knows what goes in the minds of Mossad, Israeli Defense Forces. But anyway, yeah, I like to believe that they really like me for me, but Bond, James Bond, Heerak Kim, oh Kim, Heerak Kim, I don't know. I'm not a secret agent man like James Bond, but who knows? Maybe I have like Bond girls, Kim girls, But anyway, yeah. So today is an International Student Day, November 17th. Yeah, with COVID-19, international students actually stay home. They do Zoom in, you know what I'm saying? Because Georgetown, all the graduate student classes are online, starting from like their beginning of the first day. So if you're an international student from like Germany, you can just live in Germany and Zoom in. You don't have to come to America. I mean, you save so much money because in Germany, like student dormitories are like $200 like per month. It's like subsidized by the government. Uh, in America, it's $1,000 a month. You know what I'm saying? So you're saving $80 to like get a little scooter, or something. So I'm sure the international students are kind of happy with that. They're saving a lot of money. They'll get Georgetown degree, and it's a commodity. Yeah. Um, yeah. So let's go to the next page. Uh, Here's what Israeli Musalme, if you, what can you say? When you become a treasure of a nation, it's a beautiful thing, They consider you valuable. You know what I'm saying? You know, some people think of themselves as valuable. Other people, think you as valuable. Like it adds to the value. But anyhow, when I went to Poland, as you know, I did bachelor in Poland, and you see one of my bachelorettes. I'm going to introduce you to some of my bachelorettes, and she is Caroline, and I met her. Get this. I'll tell you some of my stories of my bachelorettes. I met her. I went to my conference. It was like I registered. You see my name tag right there. I registered. So I had my name tag, and the opening session wasn't going to start for like another hour or so. And I'm like, well, I need coffee. I'm like heavily jet lagged. I'm falling asleep. You know, um, and you know how Europeans are like they're like wine, so they're serving wine, and that's like going to just put you to sleep. So I said, well, um, you know, um, I better just go and grab some coffee. So I came out. You see, me standing there right there by the entranceway of, yeah, So the opening ceremony was in the old library of University of Warsaw. So that's by the entranceway of University of Warsaw. And so I came out, and the cafe, I guess it was Cafe Nero, was like a few steps away. So I walked over. I'm wearing the same clothing. I don't know why I went with shorts. I should have worn something more formal. I was in vacation mode. All the Europeans are like, what the hey, man, this guy's wearing shorts. Europeans like to wear long pants. They're very formal that way. And I'm like, hey, I'm an American, I have an excuse, you know. So anyway, I went over to drink some coffee, and I noticed, a lady, Polish woman. I didn't know she was Polish, but she looked kind of attractive, you know. And I was like, why don't I just go over and say hello? I mean, I don't want to drink my coffee by myself. It's a little awkward. So I said hello, and I invited myself over to her table. I don't know. I don't know if it's rude or not rude. I started talking with her, and we started kind of chatting away. And I figured, I mean, why just like chat from across the table? This was before COVID. Like when you have COVID, you chat across the table, like each person sitting in one table. You know what I'm saying? But this is before COVID, so I'm like, I don't want to be shouting across the table. She's sitting by herself, I'm sitting by myself. I'm like, hey, why don't I go over and say hello? Well, I mean, I always said hello. Why don't I go over and say, you know, voulez-vous dîner avec moi ce soir? You know, will you, will you have dinner with me tonight? I mean, that's French, but so I was thinking that, so I walked over. So we started drinking coffee. We talked, and she was telling me about her job. She works for the Polish government. Um, I don't know. I mean, she may be a secret agent for all I know. Like the Polish version of FBI. You know what I'm saying? I mean, maybe the detective, like the Mossad agents, following me to Poland. you know, I don't know, but I don't know. She didn't say I work for Polish FBI. She said I work for the Polish accounting division. So, like, I guess the Polish equivalent of IRS. So, I took her word for it. I believe her. But you never know. Like there are federal agents running around in Virginia, FBI agents, and they'll tell you, I do consulting work, and they're actually FBI agents or CIA agents, or they do say, I work for the government, I do, research. I guess Federal Bureau of Investigation it is research, so they'll probably not use that. But you have all these agents running around: NSA, Homeland Security, FBI, CIA, DEA, whatever. And they don't want to say I work for FBI. You know, maybe some do. I don't know. So they'll probably give some other kind of excuse. So she could have been one of these women agents for the Polish intelligence. I don't know. I mean, she told me she works for, you know, Polish government but accounting division, like IRS. I just took her for it, but who knows? Maybe she was sitting there alone, kind of waiting for me to come to engage me. How FBI works sometimes. I mean, if you're an FBI agent watching this show, you probably understand. You've been trained that way. Different governments train, how to engage, right? But I'm like, hey, I've seen enough Bond films. If there's an attractive woman, who cares which side she's on? You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna talk to her. Have you seen James Bond movie? There's one supposed to be coming out like next year. I can't wait. I love James Bond movies. Um, so yeah, I mean, who cares if she's like a friend or foe? She's beautiful. Yeah, live dangerously, man. Live dangerously. No, I do not take risks. If you saw my show from yesterday, you know I do not take any risks. I do not take risks. I don't like scuba diving. I do not like to bungee jump. You're not going to get me on anything risky. Even a scooter, I probably won't get on it. But I do like attractive women. So if you throw like an attractive woman anywhere within a radius, I will probably go and talk to her. I mean, life is short. You have like 100 years to live. I mean, if you have an attractive woman and you don't talk to her, what's the joy of living? I mean, I'm not married. I'm single. I've never been married. I mean, geez, dude, I'm not gonna let a beautiful beauty in the world go by without me like engaging a little bit or a lot. You know what I'm saying? Life is just too short to like, uh, live a boring life. I don't know how else to put it. You only have 100 years to live. I mean, geez, before you know it, time like flies by. And I'm like, geez, I'm not gonna like, you know, you know what I'm saying? Um, so I walked over. She was wearing the dress there. Um, she was wearing a nice revealing dress. It was summer, it was hot, but it was a further motivator. You know, I'm not gonna lie. There's no point to lie to you. Um, so I walked over and said hello, and as you can see, all's well that ends well. so, um, so she gave me her phone number, and and then we set up a date. It wasn't for that night. It was for the next night. She said she has to catch up on like all these accounting and government office. So I'm like, okay. So let's meet tomorrow night. So I met her the night after. Um, and you see me with her with like fancy drinks, you know, ordering sushi, Japanese food. Um, yeah, and it was like at a pretty hip place in Warsaw. One of the great things about dating women who are native, like to the region, is that they like show you around like really cool places that you might not otherwise know. So yeah, so we had fun. Uh, yeah, I those are not vodka, but next to that, you see me next to like the president of the Polish Vodka Association. He spoke at our conference. Since our conference was being held in Poland, and I told you like these theologians like to drink wine. I don't European theologians I'm talking about. So I mean, they have those like wineries, in under monasteries, kind of thing. So they have like really good wines in like monasteries, right? Um, so so I can understand why all these wine-loving theologians in Europe uh, invited a president of Polish Vodka Society to talk about Polish vodka. So, I took a photo with him. They gave us like free samples. I think some of the theologians are a little too much. You know what I'm saying? Uh, but underneath the photo that I took with the Polish president of the Polish Vodka Society, you see his presentation there. It's live. Next to that, you have a photo of Warsaw, like the old city at nighttime. Pretty beautiful. So, like I had dinner with this bachelorette. As you know, I met and, I had met and spent time with more than like 15 bachelorettes in Poland. And unlike the show Bachelor on TV, they bring the women to you. I had to find every woman. Like every bachelorette I had in my bachelor in Poland, I myself found. Like I did not know them before I went to Poland. Yeah. I mean, geez, I had to recruit all of them to my show. No, I mean, I didn't know I was going to do a show. It was like a bachelor in Poland, a real project with the intention. I mean, I was, I'm talking about a rose now because I'm calling it a bachelor in Poland. But at that time, I was just dating widely, and then I was going to narrow down to one. You know what I'm saying? And then marry that woman. So, I was just kind of like, kind of throwing the net wide. I had like less than 2 weeks of vacation, and I had to date as many women as possible. So someday I dated more than like two women in a day, you know. But anyway, this woman, we had sushi, and you know how much I like dancing. So, so I said, "You want to go dancing?" And she's like, "I have work tomorrow morning, like at 8." And I said, "Well, I have to present my paper, my academic paper, with a bunch of experts of Jews who came from like all over Europe to hear me speak tomorrow at 9." And she's like, "I don't know. I mean, I gotta go to work." She looks like a pretty decent, like marriageable type of a woman, right? Although, they say, you can't tell a lot about a woman from her looks, like some women who look like demure can be like, wow. So, and some guys just bring the the animal with it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But anyway, I did ask her to go dancing with me. It was like, and so she's like, I don't know. I'm like, yeah, but it's gonna be fun. We're gonna have a great time. And yeah, eventually she she said yes. So yeah, so we I mean, I have a conference paper to present, groundbreaking research on Jewish studies, a bunch of like, you know, tenured experts in Jewish studies in top-notch universities around Europe. you know, so I probably should have gone home and got an early sleep, but I like dancing, so I said, this woman says she's attractive, and this is like bachelor in Poland, kind of. So I mean, it's a date. I mean, I wasn't. I mean, what if we just eat and then she goes home? Um, you know, I mean, I guess. I mean, someone might. Well, anyway, yeah. So I said, let's go dancing. So she said, okay. So we walked and obviously it's a date. So I put my arm around her and well, so we was glad we had some walking to do. And then we walked and and we got to the dance area. And it was like work day, right? It was like middle of the week. Um, and so it was the middle of the week, so it was fairly empty. It was like, I guess it was like, it was like 10 p.m. or so. So, so she tried to get me liquored up. So she bought me beer, I guess, I guess she was trying to get me drunk, I don't know. Or, yeah, you know, I had to like, I was like, I have to wake up tomorrow morning, so I was thinking that, obviously. So, she, so I just stuck to like kind of, you know, here. but, but anyway, so we sat next to each other and the floor was kind of empty at that time. So, we just kind of drank and, she had her drink and, we just talked and, you know, I had my arm around her, from walking. So it was still around there, So we talked and finally time passed by, Um, and then, eventually, 10 o'clock turned into like 11 o'clock and 11 o'clock turned into like, 12 o'clock. And finally, like, there's some people there, wanting to dance. I guess some tourists and stuff like that too. Tourists, it was in the summer, so we had tourists. This wasn't during COVID-19. Um, so, yeah, so, like, I said, let's go dancing. So she and I, we went to the floor and started dancing. And she was such a teaser on the dance floor. It was like, man, what are you doing? And I mean, but she, I mean, I was thinking that, but I didn't, say that. But she was like kind of teasing me on that floor. I was like, ew. you know, but yeah, so it was a fun night, I have to say, and I did wake up in time. I was really, I had to like two, I had to like really have strong coffee, like several cups of it. I presented and yeah, it was well received. I mean, I'm an expert at this. I've been doing this for a while. Jewish studies. I've been presenting in conferences for a long time. So I'm a veteran. I'm not a rookie at Jewish studies. You know, or international conferences with famous people. I'm a famous person myself in Jewish studies. So I mean, it was not a big deal really. I mean, I was just worried I wouldn't get up. Because I was like, all those hours of dancing and you know what I mean. So yeah. Anyway, so we had good fun time. Uh, so she definitely is like, I didn't give anybody like a rose like the real show because she definitely has a kind of a show. Like like Rose, I'll definitely see her again when I go back. I mean, I still like you know there's so many people to keep in contact with, but I sometimes uh, you know, I keep in touch with her in my kind of way, I guess. you know, she's nice. She's pretty. She's pretty nice. Um, but anyway, yeah. Anywho, yeah. So she's one of the bachelorettes. Yeah, yeah. Hi, Caroline. Um, yeah. But anyway, yeah. So in 24 hours, 1,439 people have died in America, and so our death is at 248,555, and confirmed cases are 11,342,495 confirmed cases. And so yeah, so that's where we are. Um, Yeah, so you see like about 1,500 people dying every day now in America. So death rate is kind of beginning to spike up. It's unfortunate, but my prediction is we're going to have like over 3 million Americans die by June 2021. So you see our deaths spiking up now. And we're in November. We have November to go, December to go, January to go, February to go, March to go, April to go, May to go, maybe even June. So we have like 6 to 8 months to go. Certainly 6 months of flu season to go. So you can easily see like 3 million Americans dying. All you need is like 60,000 Americans to die per state to have 3 million Americans die nationally. Um, yeah, so top five in Asia. Asia is doing really well. It's not like South America or America. India is one country that's suffering a lot. Um, they have 130,519 deaths, 8 million plus cases, and 1% death rate. Probably after Diwali celebration, that's going to probably skyrocket again, unfortunately for India. I'm projecting millions to die in India because of Diwali celebration and just at the rate of infection it's growing. Indonesia is number two, significantly lower at 474,455 cases, 3% death rate, 15,393 have died. Bangladesh is 436,684 cases, 1% death rate, 6,254 have died. So significantly lower. That's like 6 days in America. In August, it's more like 4 or 5 days, you know, now. Soon we're gonna have 6,000 deaths per day. Just watch. Deaths are gonna spike up. Philippines has 410,718 cases, and the death rate is 7,862. That's how many deaths we have. Pakistan is number 5 at 361,082 cases, 7,193 deaths. So yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Um, but not as bad as America, right? I mean, 7,000 lives, that's too many lives lost in my opinion. And like there's some countries in Asia that have less than 100 deaths. So compared to that, it's within the context of Asia, it's a lot of deaths. Um, but it's nothing like continent of COVID-19 death like Latin America. There, it's just out of control. Um, yeah, it's bad in Latin America. That's probably the place that is the worst. But Europe is catching up. Um, so, um, so let's focus on America. COVID-19 USA. COVID-19 health coming? It's a question. Uh, and let's see the articles, and you decide whether COVID-19 health is coming for United States of America or not. First article, COVID-19 cases are on the rise in all 50 states. NBC News data shows. All 50 states, COVID-19 is rising. I'm predicting that every state will have 60,000 deaths, totaling 3 million deaths in the United States of America by June. I believe that I'm going to be correct, and I think most healthcare experts are coming to my position. As you know, I'm the Leonardo da Vinci of 21st century, so it stands to reason I'm going to be right. NBC News, Peter Alexander and Corky C. Masgo. Let's look at the article. Coronavirus cases have increased in all 50 states, plus Washington, D.C. The U.S. Virgin Islands and Guam over the past 14 days. The latest NBC News data showed Tuesday. And in a dozen of those states, Vermont, Maine, Minnesota, New Hampshire, Iowa, Ohio, Colorado, Michigan, Nebraska, Kansas, Pennsylvania, and New York, infections have spiked in last 2 weeks, meaning there has been 100% or more increase confirmed case over 14 days. Do you doubt that every state will have 60,000 deaths by June 2021? You answer that question based on the data. Article number 2. Hospitals overrun as U.S. reports 1 million new coronavirus cases in a week. And it's CBS News Carter Evans today. And the significant quote from that is, the United States has surpassed 11 million coronavirus cases. That's 1 million new infections in just 1 week. And 2 million since the beginning of this month, November. And you know flu season is here. Can you imagine what's going to happen in December? I don't believe in the liberal media that says things are going to get better. Things are not going to get better. Things are going to get exponentially worse. Death is coming. Death is coming for your loved ones. That's something that you cannot doubt. Death is coming all over America. Death is coming. COVID-19 death is coming. Look at the data. Look at the facts and figures. Look at the numbers. Numbers do not lie. Right? Numbers do not lie. And we have 6 more months of flu season to go. Right? November, December, January, February, March, April, and then May. 6 more months of flu season, it's going to grow. Cases are going to grow, deaths are going to grow. You're going to experience something that you only thought that you would read about in history books. You're going to experience something that is epic in nature, something that happens maybe every few hundred years, right? What we have now, Spanish flu of 1918 killed over 50 million people. I'm predicting by June, we're going to have 100 million people dead around the world, minimum. So yes, after June, you will see that I'm right, and you will see that Spanish flu is nothing compared to COVID-19 because after 100 million people have died in June, it's going to continue. As you know, this is a 365 days a year virus, and COVID-19 killed 1,000 people per day during summer. That's going to happen, but more than 1,000, most likely this summer too. Next summer, 2021 summer. So, so maybe this is more like a nightmare that doesn't end. You see what I'm saying? So that's coming. I know, like a lot of people, like media wants to make you believe that it's not going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Yeah, 100 million people are going to die by June 2021. Probably more. I am actually predicting that up to 2 billion people can die from COVID-19. If that happens, if 1/3 of the world dies from COVID-19, COVID-19 will become like Black Death. It will enter the category of Black Death, which killed 1/3 of its population, the world's population at that time, which will make this like once in every 500, 600, 700 years event. Um, Definitely possible. You know, yeah. So let's see. Let's see. You know, I'm predicting that no vaccine will work. Obviously, I want the vaccine to work, but I'm predicting that it won't work because COVID-19 is too complex. We don't have a vaccine for HIV. We don't have a vaccine for hepatitis C virus. There are viruses for which we do not have any vaccine. Um, why do you think we're going to have a foolproof vaccine for COVID-19? You know, what happens in a lab never really works in real life. Because you know how many strands of COVID-19 there are? What strand are they using in the lab experiment? You see what I'm saying? So you know it's bound to fail in real life. That's unfortunate, but that's true. There are too many strands of COVID-19, and scientists haven't identified all of them yet. Yeah. So continuing on with the article, hospitals are reaching a breaking point, and that's coming to every hospital in Washington, D.C. area. Hospitals are going to reach breaking point at my hospital, Virginia Hospital Center, at Innova Fairfax Hospital, Innova Alexandria Hospital, Georgetown MedStar Hospital, George Washington University Hospital, Children's National Hospital, MedStar Washington Hospital Center, Sibley Hospital, Suburban Hospital, Adventist Hospital in Shady Grove. Hospitals are going to reach a breaking point in November. We're in November now. We're in November. Hospitals are going to reach a breaking point in November. You know how many more months of flu season we have to go? November, December, January, February, March, April, May. Next 7 months, you're going to have death after death after death after death. You're going to have a loved one who died. That's like guaranteed. Like if you do not have a loved one who died, you will be like one in a few, especially in metropolitan area like Washington, D.C. I'm predicting 1 million will die by June in DMV, Washington, D.C. area. You're going to have so many people die in the city of Washington, D.C. It's not even going to be funny. Both the city may lose 1/3 of its population to COVID-19 deaths. Just watch what happens. Right now, it's November. We have what? November, December, January, February, March, April. You know how bad April was, right? That's because it started like in April, late March, April, then May. It's going to grow death. There is no way to stop the death. There is zero way to stop the death. There is zero treatment for COVID-19. Or there is treatment for COVID-19. There is no cure for COVID-19. You could try to treat the symptoms like fever, try to treat infection. Yeah. So many nurses are going to die by June. It's not going to be funny. You may, out of all the deaths, 1 million deaths, you can easily have 10% being nurses. 100,000 nurses can die. Meaning you can lose 40–50% of the nurses in this area to death. That is a possibility until next year. Yeah, that is possible. It's possible. If we look at April 2020, most would say we're not going to lose more than 10 to 20% of nurses. But that was then. This is now. That was then. Like what happened in April 2020 is no predictor of how safe nurses will be in 2021. You know why? In 2020 April, young nurses did not die of COVID, did not even really get COVID. Now you have a mutation in viruses that are infecting young nurses, young people who can die from COVID. 20-year-olds are going to die in tremendous numbers. I mean, if you could get infected, you could die from it. I'm predicting that we're going to have minimum 10,000 nurses United States wide who will die by Christmas 2021. Minimum. Many of them will be 20-year-old nurses. Nurses who just graduated from nursing school, started RN residency program. They will die. Because as I said, we have the Florida virus, what I'm calling the mutated virus that infects 20-year-olds. In the summer, they didn't die, many of them. The flu season is completely different. They will die. Even elderly did not die too much in the summer. Even elderly who got COVID, they survived. But some of them did die. Obviously, we had 1,000 people die per day, so some did die. Flu season is different. I'm predicting we're going to have up to 30,000 dying every day. At some point in the flu season, we're going to have 30,000 United States citizens dying every day. Because more cases, more deaths. This is a killer virus. If you can get infected, you're going to die. In the flu season, we can predict minimum 10% death rate. You have 1 million cases, you can predict 100,000 will die. That's coming in 5 to 6, 7 weeks. Yeah. I don't believe the liberal media who tries to downplay the seriousness of COVID. We have no cure. We have no vaccine. And no vaccine is, I don't think any vaccine will work. Let's see if I'm right. You could bet with your buddies. Is Heerak right that no vaccine will work? I'm sure there are people taking wagers on that, already. I believe I'm going to be right. There's going to be no vaccine that works fully or even at all. I mean, I predict that vaccines, all of them will fail miserably. Like, you won't protect less than 1%. I mean, less than 0. Like, everybody who gets COVID vaccine, my prediction is it's going to end up killing them through side effects in the long run, over a 6-month period or a year period. That's why I'm going to wait 2 years before receiving a COVID vaccine. Because, you know, a person might not have died in first, second, third month, but a year from now, they may die from that vaccine. You know, we need time to see. I mean, see, you're injecting it into your body, it could be altering, you know, whatever. We don't know what it's doing inside your body. We don't know yet. We have to observe. Um, yeah, so hospitals are reaching a breaking point as they treat nearly 70,000 COVID-19 patients now. That's nothing. It's going to double to 140,000 probably by next week. Just wait and see. They're going to say, oh no, hospitalized patients doubled in less than a week, 140,000. We're talking about hospitalizations now. We're going to start talking about death in 2 to 3 weeks. And probably by December, we can have over 10,000 deaths per day. That's what I'm predicting. Like in December, we'll surpass 10,000 deaths per day in December. You see why I'm predicting that 10,000 nurses will die in America by Christmas? Because there are nurses treating them. Some of them are going to get infected. Some of them are going to die. Predictable. Look at this. In Utah, if you are a Mormon, you may want to, you know, listen more carefully because that's like what? It's like the Rome of Mormons, right? What Rome is to Catholics, Utah is to Mormons. In Utah, records continue being shattered and cases are skyrocketing. A quarter of new test results are now positive. 25% are positive. So you test 100 people, 25 of them have it. This is one state where 10% of the population can die from COVID in the next 6 months. November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. You think you can survive that long? Not if you have COVID, right? Probably not. A quarter of new test results are now positive. You can get it, you can die from it. On intensive care units fills up, healthcare workers are feeling the strain. Nurses are burning out already, and it's only November. November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. Minimum 6 more months of flu season left. Minimum. And you don't think 3 million Americans will die by June? You don't think so? You don't think 60,000 Americans will die in every state by June? You don't think so? Look at the numbers. A lot of people like to fool themselves. I created this show to save your life. I march for your life. As you know, I'm Heerak Kim, candidate for U.S. Congress Division's 8th District. I'm running for the office of U.S. Congress on November 8, 2022, 2 years from now. There's going to be COVID-19 death every day until that election day. My prediction is we will have at least 30 million to 50 million dead by the time we have that second election, next election. Just, you know, I was running for the election in November 3rd, 2020, but because of COVID-19, everything just kind of got messed up. So for me, it's the second time around. Yeah, I intend to win, obviously. But we're going to have anywhere from 30 million to 50 million or maybe more die from COVID by then. 2 years. Why do you think that COVID is not going to kill people? We have 1,500 people dying every day now. What proof do you have that Americans will not die? You know, these liars in the liberal media, what proof do you have that Americans are not going to die? You lie to them and give them false hope. You know? Do you think that people who get COVID-19, you know, I mean, you gotta predict some of the people who get COVID-19 will commit suicide. Um, because they don't want to kill their family members. So I think that's something that nobody's talking about right now. But I think you'll begin to see this throughout 50 states. People who get COVID will kill themselves so that they don't infect and kill their family members. You know, as I said, don't do it. When you commit suicide, you go to eternal damnation in hell. You know, why do you want to? Why do you want to do that? But despite my warning not to commit suicide, there will be those who get COVID-19 who will commit suicide. In their mind, they're protecting their children or grandchildren. Uh, so I think you're going to have cases like that. It's going to be tragic because you're going to have people die from COVID. So that's one dimension. You're going to have 3 million to 30 million Americans die from COVID by June. That's my prediction, my estimation, based on facts and figures and what's happening, using my expert analysis. But then you're going to also have people dying from flu. And that can spike up because whereas when there was no COVID, people with flu were treated, and many of them were able to survive. Now with COVID, many won't survive. So we may have like over 100,000 flu deaths, or maybe even more, this flu season. A lot of people who are cancer patients will die because they're immunocompromised. They just can't survive COVID if they get it. Many of them. Some may, you know, any immunocompromised patient will have a hard time surviving COVID. Just unfortunately, that's the way it is. So we cannot even begin to estimate the domino effects right now. I would say with confidence, absolute confidence, you should not be surprised if 100 million Americans die in the next 10 years from COVID. We can lose 1/3 of our population to COVID in the next 10 years. I don't think you should be surprised because my prediction, as you know, is that every single vaccine will fail for the next 10 years. None of them will succeed. So I'm calculating, I'm doing mathematical calculation with the premise that no vaccine will work for the next 10 years. And that's why I'm saying 100 million Americans can die in the next 10 years. 1/3 of America can die from COVID-19 or COVID-19 related processes, because one of the things that can happen is the food supply chain can be completely cut off. And then you're going to have Americans starving to death. people who don't have COVID will starve to death. And then you're going to have crime rates, you know, if people want to eat food. And they're going to rise in violent crimes like murders. That's why I'm telling all the fathers to get a gun to protect your children and your wife from robbers. This is coming. If the food supply chain gets cut, then people are going to invade your home, especially suburban homes, right? The violent crimes will be more dangerous in suburbs because people will go there to steal food from suburban homes in the middle of the night. And because these homes are single homes and widespread, noise may not travel that wide. So you're susceptible. So if you're a single home owner in a suburb, you should invest in a semi-automatic rifle, several of them maybe, ammunition, shotgun, uh, get training for what is coming. See, you're presupposing that everything's going to stay the same, right? That's why you're not getting a gun, you're not getting a training to protect your family because you think like you're safe. You're not safe. You're not safe. You're going to become more and more unsafe as COVID-19 death grows. Eventually, the food supply chain can be cut off in certain parts of the country, and there'll be food shortage. Think about it. You have all these people dying. Who's going to farm your farm? You think like crops grow on their own? You know, like Iowa farmers, once they die, who's going to grow the crops? Can you learn to be a farmer overnight? We're looking at next 10 years. I don't believe in the liberal media that make it sound like vaccines are going to work. They're not going to work. They're not going to work. Why do you think they're going to work? You think like every disease that comes around, you could just develop a vaccine? You think it's that simple? They're living in the fantasy world. They're like fooling you. They're pulling your leg, and you want to go with the lies. That's the tragedy. There are some even highly educated people who just want to believe the vaccine will work. And that's not a way to plan community. That's not a way to plan for disasters. Right? You have to be realistic. You have to suppose nothing's going to work. And then if it works, great. Right? You need to plan your cities, your states, your county, your towns, your personal home, your family, as if COVID-19 will exist for the next 10 years and there will be no vaccine. Excuse me, for 10 years. That's how you survive. Because if vaccine works, great. But if you plan for vaccine to work, and if it doesn't work, your family can die. You see what I'm saying? Do you see why this show is very important? I tell you the truth, and truth will set you free. Can I get a 5 on the truth? Can I get a 5 on the truth? Truth is the only thing that will set you free. Truth is the only thing that will set you free. Nothing else will set you free. That's why this show is very, very important for your survival. Many of you have survived COVID until now because you watch this show and you follow my advice. You need to watch this show every day because the liberal media is lying to you, right? On what evidence do you believe that the vaccines will work? Just because the liberal media tells you? You know how ridiculous that is? What proof is there? Brazil started using a vaccine that one of the countries created that they said it works. They stopped because of all these horrible things that were happening to people who were vaccinated. Not only did it not protect them, it's damaging their bodies. Why do you think they stopped the vaccines if it doesn't do any damage? Who knows how much damage these vaccines are going to do? They're not fully vetted. A quarter of new test results are now positive. As intensive care units fill up, healthcare workers are feeling the strain. Every nurse in major city will probably burn out in the next 6 months of the flu season. At some point, nurses will crack down and start crying uncontrollably. And that could start even today. Because death is tragic, is shocking, and human beings cannot handle it. When death is so much, even nurses who've been nurses for 40 years, they will break down and cry like a baby in the next 6 months of flu season because they're going to see so much horrific things. Now that COVID-19 can kill 20-year-olds, they're going to see 20-year-old women who are like sophomores in college dying of COVID in large numbers in the next 6 months of flu season. And they're going to be so shocked and traumatized by it. These nurses who are like 50, 60 years old, they're going to break down and cry. Some of them are going to maybe lose their minds. That's coming. So we're not just talking about death. We're talking about trauma, PTSD. PTSD among nurses. It's going to reach horrific levels. Nurses waking up in the middle of the night in cold sweat, screaming something because they've seen so many die, so many young people die that they've never seen before. Young people without pre-existing conditions die. That's coming. We have many, many months to go. We have half a year to go. Look, this is only November, December, January, February, March, April, May. The 7 months. You don't think 3 million Americans will die minimum? Do the math. This is why I don't believe in the liberal media. They make it sound like nobody's going to die. A lot of people are going to die. Look at the quote from a nurse, intensive care unit nurse. We are tired, mentally, physically, emotionally exhausted. This is only November, December, January, February, March, April, May. 7 more months to go. You're telling me that nurses are not going to break down emotionally, physically, mentally in the next 7 months as death reached 30,000 per day in America? Is that what you think? You think nurses are made out of robot parts? I assure you, many nurses will have PTSD, maybe like 1 out of 2 by June will suffer from some form of PTSD. How about when children die? At Children's National Hospital, let's say children start dying, 50 children per day from COVID. You don't think nurses will break down and cry? Lose their mind even? Go completely crazy, some of them? Completely lose their mind. Some of the nurses will completely lose their mind because of COVID. Just wait and see. Said Nurse Nate Smithson, who works at Intermountain Medical Center, Utah's largest hospital. For some patients there, the cold COVID-19 reality still isn't real. There's always going to be people out there who don't think this is real. So, because there are 330 million Americans. Even if 30 million Americans died, that's only 10% of the country. 90% of the country did not die, right? Like if you live in a rural area, like farm area, there's no COVID around, there's no reason you'd get COVID and die unless there's a college nearby where they bring infections, right? College students from their hometown, another state. Over 1 million children tested positive for coronavirus in the United States. Third article. Over 1 million children. In flu season, COVID-19, 10% death, 100,000 of them will die. I'm predicting that thousands of children will die in every state, all 50 states. You should not be surprised if 100,000 children die from COVID, even before Christmas. Because, as I've said, we could have 30,000 dying per day. 100,000 children can die before Christmas. Deaths are coming. That's like guaranteed. Next 5 weeks later, you will have babies, children, 20-year-olds dying, massive numbers throughout the United States of America. That's coming. Liberal media wants to lie to you and make it seem like nothing's going to be serious. Look at what the nurses are saying. So the third article, over 1 million children test positive for coronavirus. In the United States by Reese Oxner in NPR, National Public Radio. Quote, children now make up at least 1 in 11 of all reported U.S. coronavirus cases, right? So if we have 3 million people die by June, about 10% of them, 300,000 children are expected to die by June. You should not doubt it. Children are very vulnerable. They're the most vulnerable to flu death. Children, right? Children are the most vulnerable during flu season. You should not doubt it. If 3 million Americans die by June from COVID-19, 300,000 of them can be children. Yeah. Yeah, this is coming. Geez, I told you months ago. I told you like 5 months ago that we're going to have COVID-19 continue throughout the summer, killing people. Was I right or was I right? I said 3-4 months ago that COVID-19 will kill massive number of people in America in the winter, in every state. Am I right or am I right? So why do you think I'm going to be wrong in June 2021? Why do you think I'm going to be wrong? I've been right all along that it's a 365 days year virus. I'm right about that. So why do you think I'm going to be wrong? Give me one reason why you think I'm going to be wrong. I've been right when Dr. Fauci's wrong. I've been right when Dr. Gottlieb, a former FDA, was wrong. I've been right when Dr. Gupta was wrong, Sanjay Gupta of CNN. I was right when World Health Organization was wrong. Why do you think I'm going to be wrong? On what evidence do you base your belief that Heerak Christian Kim is going to be wrong? When Heerak Christian Kim has always been right, more right than Dr. Fauci, more right than Dr. Gupta, more right than World Health Organization. Why do you think Heerak Christian Kim is going to be wrong? On what basis do you base your belief? Because that's a belief, right? You're believing that the vaccine will work. It's a faith. It's a religion. And I say, you are believing in a false religion of the liberal media. Vaccines are not going to work. I mean, I want them to work. If they work, praise the Lord, but they're not going to work. COVID-19 is too complicated. If you could create a vaccine for any crazy illness that happens, we would have no disease in the world. It doesn't work that way. So look at this. Children now make up at least 1 in 11 of all reported U.S. coronavirus cases. That's according to data from the American Academy of Pediatrics and the Children's Hospital Association. On Monday, the AAP said more than 1 million children have tested positive for the coronavirus in the United States. I told you to close your school. Did I tell you to close your schools and go 100% online? Why didn't you listen? Now you're going to reap what you have sown. Your children are going to die. You should have listened to Heerak Christian Kim when Heerak Christian Kim tried to save your children's lives by telling you to close the schools, go 100% online. We have the technology to do that. iPhone, iPad. You did not listen. Now you're going to pay the price, unfortunately, because coronavirus is a virus that kills after infecting. Infections happen when you meet in classrooms with low ceilings. Because coronavirus is airborne. So if somebody has coronavirus, you could get infected. On Monday, the AAP said more than 1 million children have tested positive coronavirus. That's because the schools are open. I told you this would happen. Why don't you believe when I say what will happen when I've been right all along? I told you it's going to be 365 days a year virus. Did it turn out to be 365 days a year virus? Yes, it did. I told you we're going to have thousands die in the summer. Did thousands die in the summer? Yes, they did. So why did you doubt when Heerak Christian Kim said for 3 months that you must close the schools in the fall to prevent COVID-19 spikes, spread, community spread, and to prevent death of children? Why didn't you listen? I've been marching for your life for months. And you listen to liberal media who's always been wrong? Think about what you're doing. Because your children's life is at stake. Think about what you are doing. Your children's life is at stake. You think this is a big joke? COVID-19? You think your children's lives being jeopardized is a big joke? I'm like the lone voice in the wilderness trying to prevent your destruction by COVID. Trying to pave the way. Yeah, let's read the next one. Or next sentence. As a pediatrician, this is a quote, as a pediatrician who has practiced medicine for over 3 decades, 30 years, I find this number staggering and tragic because the pediatrician knows the children are going to die. At least 10% are going to die. Pediatricians expect the death to come. I told you, if you get infected, you could die from it. You should have listened. What do you think this is? Like, oh, I got COVID. Oh, How cool. No, no, that's not it. That's not it. We haven't seen a virus flash through our communities in this way since before we had vaccine for measles and polio. My prediction is that COVID-19 will kill 1/3 of the world in the next 10 years. Think about it. All you have to do is somebody with COVID breathe on you when you're not wearing a mask to get COVID. And in flu season, it can get very serious, the condition, and you could die. So what do you think? Is COVID-19 help coming? What do you think? You answer it for yourself. Stop following blindly like sheep. The liberal media, they're not going to save you. Stop following the liberal media. They're not going to save you. Only truth will set you free. Can I get a 5 on the truth? Can I get a 5 on the truth? I hope that you enjoyed this show. Obviously, I'm trying to save your children's lives, right? I'm trying to save your life. I'm trying to save your happiness. Because will you be happy if your children die from COVID in November, before Thanksgiving, or after Thanksgiving, before Christmas, or on Christmas Day? I'm trying to save your children's lives. I'm trying to save your life. I'm trying to save your happiness. What do you think your life will be like for the rest of your life if your children die, all of them from COVID-19? Let's say you have 3 children, 4 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old, all 3 of them die from COVID. What do you think your life will be like? You know, my mother told me this, and I was absolutely shocked by it when my mother told me. You know, my mother said there were more children than my mom's 2 younger sisters. And the young brother, her older brother was killed in Korean War by a stray bullet. I told you about that. There were more siblings than 4. So I asked my mother, what happened to the other siblings? They all died. So I guess, you know, my grandmother's time period, I guess there are a lot of children dying. I don't know. I mean, I don't know too much about Korea's history at that time. Infant mortality rate, things like that. Unfortunately, you know, there isn't as much information as there should be. But my mom said my grandmother, her mother, had more than dozen children. But many of them died like in infancy or, you know, as a child or whatever. And only 4 survived. I guess if you pass certain age, like, you know, 12 or 13, then there's a greater chance of survival. I don't know. Um, I don't know what went on at that time, what kind of diseases killed babies or children. You know, maybe like measles, you know, mumps, rubella. Who knows? You know, unfortunately there aren't too many documented studies of Korean children in the time period of my grandmother. Uh, children. But they die from all kinds of illnesses. So they have like, you know, I don't know how many, more than 12. So they have 15 children who are born. They survive postpartum, like after they're born, they survive, but they die at certain stage of infancy or childhood. And only 4 survive beyond, you know, a certain age, and they reach like puberty and beyond. And I don't know if this was happening all over Korea. I don't know. but I presume so. So let's come to where we are now. There was a period in Korean history or maybe world history when mother and father had 10 children and only two survived. Like 80% died. From all kinds of things, but probably most likely illnesses and disease, right? So why do you think 100% of your children cannot die from COVID? It's an illness or disease. It can happen. I mean, if you're a mother or father with children, I would encourage you to prepare emotionally to bury your children, all of them. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but you must be emotionally prepared or you may commit suicide. You're going to eternal damnation and hell. You need to prepare emotionally so you don't go crazy, literally, and that you're able to handle things. Because you still have your husband, you still have your relatives, other relatives. You still have your own life to live. Even if all your children die from COVID-19. And the tragedy is, a lot of nurses, they get COVID and give COVID to their children. Even if the schools are not meeting. And their children will die from COVID. Children of nurses. That's the tragedy of being a nurse, is that you can die from COVID. You may not die from COVID, but your children or your husband or your parents can die from COVID. Because you can spread the COVID to them from the hospital setting. Infection spreads from people to people. Nurses are not robots. Nurses can get infected, they spread the infection to their family. That's the tragedy. And I think most nurses understand it with their mind that this could happen. They need to kind of deal with it in the sense they need to prepare themselves emotionally for it. Because it could happen. So you see, what do you think the answer to the question is? COVID-19, hell coming? What do you think? Think about it. We're only in November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. Tragedy of epic proportion is already happening in America. The liberal media wants you to live in a fiction by promising you a vaccine that's going to work. Let's see who's right. I'm 100% sure I'll be right. Unfortunately, not 100%, I said 99%. Yeah, I've been right so far. Liberal media has been wrong. Even Dr. Fauci has been wrong. I've been right. World Health Organization was wrong. I was right. Why do you think I'm going to be wrong? I'm going to be right because I'm the Leonardo da Vinci of 21st century. Look at how many areas I'm an expert in. I'm using all the expertise and giving you an analysis that is accurate. That's why I'm sure Dr. Fauci is watching this show right now. That's why I'm sure Dr. Han is watching this show right now. Every expert of healthcare is probably watching this show because they know I am right and they were wrong. At the end of the day, if you can't predict accurately, then you have to revise your ideas. This is a 365 days a year virus. As Heerak Christian Kim, that's who I am, said it is. What do you I'm going to be wrong about? Spiking death rates. My prediction is that every hospital in Washington, D.C. area will be completely packed to capacity in November. And we're going to have massive COVID-19 death starting November all the way into Christmas. That every hospital in this area will have minimum 12 nurses die by Christmas, minimum. And that's just the nurses. I'm not talking about care, patient care technicians. I'm talking about nurses. I'm not talking about doctors. There's going to be far more doctors, far more patient care technician, respiratory therapists. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of death in all these areas. I'm just talking about nurses because I'm a nurse, RN nurse. It is a tragedy that is coming. So I want to do a cheer for all the nurses. Nurses, 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 nurses. Yeah. I mean, I would actually encourage nurses who have money to take a leave of absence for like next 6 months just to save your children's life if you have money and that is your priority, saving your children's life, and you have money, take time off. You know, there's no reason to take unnecessary risks. If you have a lot of children, that's my recommendation. You do what you want with your life. You do what you want with your children's lives. Because there are nurses who are millionaires. They could afford to take like 6 months off. I would if I were you. Because, you have children. You can't just think about yourself. Obviously, we need you to save people's lives, but what good is it if you save thousands of people, strangers' lives, but all 3 children die from COVID? Is your life going to be happy because you saved thousands of people's lives when 3 of your children are all dead? That's something you have to grapple with at the end of the day. You have to pray about it. You have to come to a decision, right? That's your life, right? Are you willing to take I would say unnecessary, because if you have money and you don't have to do it, you don't have to do it. When you have children, I think the issue is a little bit different, or if you have parents living at home. So you're a 20-year-old nurse and your parents live at home with you. You're kind of taking risks with their lives right now, unfortunately. Yeah. This is like a catch-22 situation, right? There's no way to win. It's a lose-lose situation. And that's the sad thing about what's happening now. It's a lose-lose situation. There's absolutely no way to win. Yeah. But we can reduce the death. And that's what we need to do. We gotta reduce the death. Governor Cuomo needs to shut down New York. Governor Phil Murphy needs to shut down New Jersey. Governor Tom Wolf needs to shut down Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. That's the only way you're going to reduce that. There's no other way. There is no cure. Treatment are not working in most of the time, most of the cases. You need to shut the cities down. Governor Cuomo, Tom Wolf, Governor Gavin Newsom, Governor Phil Murphy, you need to shut these places down. It's your fault that your residents are dying. It's your fault. Because you watch this show. And I've said, don't open any of the schools. Go 100% online. You didn't listen, did you? The buck stops with the government. They're the head of their state. They're the they're the kings of their state. They're the rulers of their state. The buck stops at the governor's level for every state. You're responsible for your citizens' death. We're looking at anywhere from 3 million to 30 million deaths by June. You'll watch. You'll watch um, Dr. Fauci, Dr. Han, the World Health Organization revising their estimates of death again and again. Eventually, they're going to say, yeah, there's a possibility 3 million people can die in America by June 2021. That's what they're going to say. Just watch. Just watch. Yeah, it's not a good place to be right now, where we are as a country. It's not a good place to be. I believe that President Trump did a good job. Um, he's trying the best that he could, and he truly loves the American people. So I pat President Trump on the back. I think he did what he could, the best he could. But I do blame the government. I think every governor needs to take the blame for what happens in their state. At the end of the day, they have full control of the reins in their state. Yeah. Um, I will bring you more helpful details, facts and figures tomorrow, an expert analysis that only the Leonardo da Vinci of 21st century, Heerak Kim, can provide. Yeah, so come tune in tomorrow. Make sure you don't miss even a single episode. Because at the end of the day, who's telling you the truth? Not the liberal media. It's Heerak Kim, independent candidate for U.S. Congress. Although I'm thinking about running as a Republican for 2022. But I'm praying about it. Yeah. So look forward to seeing you tomorrow. I hope that your family will be well and that your children will be well too. Bye.